Living on Molokai and growing up, you know, we went out and caught mullet, crab, and ate opai for lunch and swam at the wharf and went hunting. So we grew up in a family and a community.
My dad was a fisherman. Taught us a lot, taught us everything that we know about fishing. How to conserve fish, let go the small ones and catch the big ones. But all these years I've been fishing, I've been there from day one. Now I'm 50-something years old, and boy, I tell you, I still enjoy my fishing.
I was born and raised in Molokai, and we owned a fish pond at one time. And once a year or twice a year, the pond owners would have a hooky net, and everybody around the neighborhood would come and help, and everybody would get fish. And bags of course. Fish was so plentiful at that time.
Real prosperity on Molokai has always come from the bounty of the land and sea. In ancient times, Molokai was Aina Momona, the land of plenty. Its people have always been Makaainana, people who tend the land. But today, at Kamalo and Kapuale in the mountains above the island's eastern shore, the integrity of the land and the resources it provides are threatened. Foraging by goats and other hoofed animals is denuding the landscape. The animals which provide an important source of food for many have pushed back the native forests and shrubland nearly 2 miles. They now threaten Molokai's lush eastern rainforests, the island's primary source of water. Among the people of Molokai, there is a growing recognition that they must act now to bring back into balance the resources that sustain their lifestyle and culture.
My granddad, my tutu, he raised cattle here. So our connection goes back to the 50s, early 50s. And we were pretty much brought up here, you know. This was the place to come when they were doing roundups and whatnot. As I flew up on the chopper this morning, I just couldn't believe just the landscape. It's sad in a sense that there's a lot more devastation than I had anticipated. Basically, there's a need here to take care of what we once had.
I've actually been coming here. I was thinking the first time I came here was in about '74, and I've come here just to photograph Molokai, and usually where I come is to the top of the mo'o. And I've been thinking that where the forest line used to be is probably about 50 yards from right here. And it's curious, you can see the edge of change right now is where the fern line stops. And to me, it's astounding to see some of these root balls of these really old lehuas, and they've been blown over, and it's like all the ground cover that protects them has been eaten by the animals.
The death of the forest comes at a cost. The community's water supply is dwindling as the forest is eaten away. The exposed dirt that is left is washing off the mountain and into the sea, slowly destroying the island's coastal resources.
When I take the children up to the forest, we talk about how everything is connected. Everything is full circle. And when you talk about taking care of Molokai, you cannot speak of taking care of the ocean and the land separately because they're all connected. And the kids see this when we go up into the forest because, you know, we talk about erosion and stuff, and then I have them look down and you can see all the brown in the ocean, and they see that connection.
When it rains, the soil just washes down to the ocean and pollutes the ocean.
Obviously, you know, we all learn about environment and what impacts neglect does to the environment. And obviously what we do see along some of the salt shores of Molokai is a lot of silt in the ocean. Yeah, over a period of years, it's caused a lot of our ecosystem in the ocean to deteriorate, mainly the coral, the plant life, and also the fishes.
I think the reef is being ruined by silk. Because all my life I dive on a reef, it's little by little being deteriorated by silk, mud, and seaweed. I don't even heard of. It's on the reef right now. We got to do something about it, control it.
In 1998, a community-wide planning process identified watershed protection as critical to reviving Molokai's rural economy and preserving its way of life.
Only by working together in partnership.
This planning process led to the formation in 1999 of the East Molokai Watershed Partnership.
I truly believe this is the first time that a whole network of community people got involved to make decisions for our island. Part of our process was to come up with a vision statement that would be our roadmap. And basically what we talk about is we're the last of the Hawaiian island. We talk about how we're a very caring community, but we also value what our ancestors have left for us, and we value our cultural gifts. We see that our ancestors took care of the land, and we needed to have some balance. And this is where the Watershed Project comes in, because we recognize that if we take care of Mauka, we also take care of Makai.
I was on the Environment Committee, and the thing I loved about those discussions, we would have heated discussions, and this is one of the most heated, was this exact spot. What's more important, the animals or the aquifer or the forest or the actual indigenous native plants? And the thing I loved is everybody who was in that conversation loved Molokai. They just did it in different ways. And to actually have this be the first priority of all our projects, to take care of the land first, to me is very exciting.
We talk in Hawaii about the ahupuaha concept, and this is a great opportunity to do that because we're starting on the mountaintop and we have plans to do the whole thing. There's fish ponds associated with, there's old kalo terraces, there's the reef right out there.
The partnership's first project is to manage the adjoining Kamalo and Kapualei Ahupua'a that are at the heart of the watershed. By protecting the rich native forests on top and restoring the land directly beneath it, fishing and farming activities along the coast will benefit.
I guess the one phrase that I always use is, water flows downhill, and what happens up in our mountains affects everything lower down.
When I think of the forest and the watershed and keeping the water intact on Molokai, I think of my husband, yeah, definitely, and his taro lo'i that need that water that's flowing through there all the time. But if that water's not flowing, then we can't grow taro. And it's not just growing taro, it's bringing the culture back. It's keeping that culture alive and being able to share it. We can't do that if there's no water.
Preserving the forest will require controlling the animals that are its primary threat. The Watershed Plan, voted top priority by the community, proposes construction of a contour fence at the elevation of 3,500 feet to keep animals out of the upper elevation forests. To promote recovery of the vegetation in the damaged area below the fence, there will be a community hunting program to reduce goat and pig populations. Participating landowners are opening up their lands to hunters.
Fencing or hunting by itself is not the solution. It really needs to work in conjunction, with each other. Fencing to protect the vegetation from further destruction, and hunting to lower the number of feral animals that we have out there. And what the animal control program will do is also provide different types of foods for the community.
It's hard to go and say we need to control the pigs or the deers or they're hurting our environment and they're not good. It's hard to say that because you know that for some people that's the only meat on their table. Especially in a situation like Molokai where the economy is so bad and people really depend on this resource. You can replace the deer and the goat and the pigs, but it took like hundreds of thousands of years to build that forest. It's going to take hundreds of thousands of years to bring it back.
I think it's common sense to try to regulate and control your animals in a way so that you can better take care of the problem. And I think the fencing is going to help in that aspect of the control.
It'll work. It'll be a win-win for everyone. You know, we'll get our forest back. We'll get more water. We'll also provide some outlet for our kids in this, you know, you're in Molokai, it's very rural, and hunting is a part of the lifestyle. And I think it'll be a win-win situation.
For the people of Molokai, the opportunity to act is now. A plan is in place. Partners stand ready to help. The future is at stake.
If this program works out the way it should, I visualize more efforts like this in other parts of Molokai.
You know, if you think of the canoe as an island, like Molokai is an island, and you're on this canoe and you're learning how to work together and you realize how important your limited resources are and you realize how important it is to take care of it. And so I'm really proud of our group of Molokai that we can even come and make healthy decisions for Molokai.
If we talk about love for the culture and love for the land and preserving what our ancestors so valued, that's the roadmap.